Tamer Chamma, RotoExperts.com, back once again, this time with start sits at the quarterback position for Week 8. And the first start I have for you is Jon Kitna. He's going to be going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars at home this upcoming weekend. And just because Jon Kitna hasn't played a lot or really at all over the last couple of years, you don't want to shy away from him as a fantasy option in certain spots for the rest of the season, just because of the weapons he has around him in this Cowboy offense. Don't let the 1-5 record fool you. This is a very talented team on both sides of the ball, and that's especially the case on the offensive side of the ball. So Kitna can still play a little bit, and he should be viable in certain situations in this offense. One of those situations is this upcoming weekend against the Jaguars. I actually featured the Jaguars' run defense in my running back start sits from a couple of days ago, so you can just see how bad that Jaguar defense is. But their pass defense is just as bad as their run defense. Their pass defense this year giving up right around 250 yards per game. They've allowed 16 touchdowns through the air, and they've only picked off opposing quarterbacks 4 times. So just not a good passing defense for the Jaguars. That should allow Kitna to have a good week with those weapons, with the suspect defense. You can look at him as a good fill-in for guys that are on bye this week, a guy like Eli Manning or a Matt Ryan or a Joe Flacco, or as a fill-in for Tony Romo if you did or do own, or I should say did own at this point, Tony Romo. So definitely look at Kitna as a good option for Week 8. The second guy we're going to take a look at is a repeat from Week 7, and that's Matt Castle. I'm riding him once again. He's had 2 good weeks in a row against 2 bad passing defense, and he has another pretty bad passing defense this week at home, and he should have a good week because of it. He's facing the Buffalo Bills in Kansas City at home, and the Bills are pretty good as far as the yardage goes in their passing defense. They're allowing right around 200 yards per game, but they've given up 14 passing touchdowns and only picked off opposing quarterbacks once, and that fits in well with Matt Castle. He's been very efficient this year, only 3 interceptions. So don't look for great, crazy numbers from Matt Castle this week, but look at pretty much what he did from last week, right around 200 yards passing and a couple of touchdowns, and highly unlikely they'll throw a pick, and that's good enough, again, as a fill-in for some of the guys that are on bye this week, or for a Tony Romo that's injured. Maybe if Brett Favre doesn't play, you can definitely plug in Matt Castle for a Favre. Or actually, Castle might be a better start overall than Favre at this point, but still, you get where I'm going with this. He's a good fill-in for Week 8. The one sit I have for you is Sam Bradford. He's going to be going up against the Carolina Panthers at home this weekend. And something strange has happened with Bradford. I talked about Bradford a few weeks ago and how he was allowed to really throw the ball in that St. Louis offense despite being a rookie quarterback. For a while there, he was really averaging over 35 attempts a game pretty consistently. Now they've really peeled back with Bradford. They're not allowing him to really throw the ball down the field, not allowing him to throw the ball a lot. He's doing a lot more underneath stuff. And I think that's going to be the case once again in this game against the Panthers, simply because the Rams know at home they can play some defense, run the ball. They don't need their quarterback to do anything huge, and they can win the game against a pretty bad Carolina team. So look for them to really put the reins on Bradford, not allow him to throw the ball that much in this game, and not really put him in a position where he can make game-costing mistakes. Bradford, really not a great option for this week. I wouldn't really start him in any leagues, even with the fact that there are 6 teams on bye, and with some of the injuries going around, he's a guy that you definitely want to sit in all leagues this week. So that's the start sits at the quarterback position. We're, of course, going to have more start sits for Week 9 next week. Check out our live advice and email advice features on RotoExperts.com. You'll get advice for fantasy football and all fantasy sports when you need it and when you most desire it, not on somebody else's watch, but on your watch. Check it out, the email and live advice features on RotoExperts.com. You can also follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @RotoExperts, and you can follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @RotoExperts_TC. Until next week, everybody, have a great fantasy football weekend. Good luck, and we'll talk to you in Week 9.